Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be looking at this 2008 Land Rover Discovery. Now, a friend of mine owns this car. He's come in to me and said he almost had a heart attack. He was driving down a fast lane on a motorway and just lost all drive in the outside lane. Luckily, he managed to get it over onto the hard shoulder. But what he's complained of is basically, he said all the lights have come on the dashboard. Has come up with transmission error, and it's, although the engine was running, he said there was no power at all. It would only do a couple of miles an hour, yeah, he just pulled over, got the car to safety. He said even the suspension started to drop. So yeah, it just sort of lost all life really. Now he managed to switch it off and restart it, and it did come back to life. So we've got to try and dig into this and see what's been going on. So I'm going to be plugging into it today with my old launch, and we'll have a look, see what we find. Now I've cleared down the fault. I'm going to clear down the fault memory completely before we go for a road test, because there's tons of faults stored in it. So I need something to work with. So I'm going to clear all of them down and go out for a run and I guess try and break down in it. So let's see what we find with this one, and yeah, hopefully we can solve it for the guy. Okay, so we're a couple of miles down the road and we've got all these lights on, suspension is starting to drop, and we've got the engine system fault flashing up along with the F light. Okay, so we're plugged into it. I've done a full system scan on it with the launch, and just so you know, I cleared all the fault memory before I went on the road test, so I could tell exactly what came back. Now we'll have a look in the all-terrain module, see what that says. Okay, we're seeing invalid data received from engine control module, invalid data from transmission, invalid data from vehicle dynamic control module. Okay, so we'll go back. We'll have a look in one of the other ones. Let's have a look at ride level control module. The suspension has actually dropped when the fault came up on the dashboard. Invalid data. Okay, so a lot of invalid data codes. Let's go back. Okay, let's have a look in the engine. So powertrain control module. See what we can find here. Okay, so this has come back. Injector control pressure too low, permanent. Fuel temperature sensor A, circuit high input. Okay, so what we're going to do first is concentrate on these codes and see if this is the root of the problem, and causing a knock-on effect to lose communication with the other control modules. So let's have a look into that and see what we find. So I've keyed off, keyed back on. Started up. Doesn't seem to be any fault codes or warnings up on the dash. Okay. Engine driving okay. Right, let's try and drive it back. Okay, so I'm standing underneath the car at the moment, and being that we've got that fuel pressure code appearing in the engine management, I've decided that I'm going to change the fuel filter. So I've removed the undershield, as you can see here, and the fuel filter is over here right next to the gearbox, and it's behind this little shield. So we've got 3 10mm bolts we're going to take out and get in there and replace the fuel filter. So here's the fuel filter. So we're going to get on with removing this. So first of all, we're going to undo this plug. That's for the water sensor in the bottom of the filter. Quite easy. You just pull this tab back and that is released. Now we're going to turn the filter anti-clockwise. So you can see they've got little pictures there. You've got one of the padlock with an arrow, corresponds with the arrow on the housing, and you've got one of unlocked padlock on the other side. So we turn it anti-clockwise like so. Just keep pushing it round until you line up the unlock arrow with the arrow on the top of the housing there. Pull it down towards the chassis and it will come out. Now it's going to be full of diesel. You can loosen off the drain at the bottom if you want to, or you can make a mess like me and yeah, empty that out. So that's the old filter off. Now we can fit the new one on. So again, you push it upwards so the unlock arrow lines up with the arrow on the housing, and this time you turn it clockwise obviously, and you keep turning as far as you can, and eventually it will come to a stop and you won't be able to go any further. Now don't do what I did and line up the drain incorrectly. As you can see, there's an arrow there on the filter, and that drain is meant to be in line with that arrow. I'll adjust that later, but just so you know, don't make that mistake. Now we're done underneath, it's time to prime the fuel filter. So we're going to do this by switching the ignition on but not starting the engine. So that's on once for about 5 to 10 seconds. That's on twice for about another 5 to 10 seconds. I tend to do this 3 or 4 times, and it gives the fuel filter a chance to fill up by using the in-tank pump, just to make it easier to start. Now that's done, next thing to do is to take it out on a road test. Okay guys, so that's the fuel filter done. So we're going to clear these fault codes down now, and we'll give it a road test and see if it's made any difference. So we'll clear those down. And have a look at that. Yeah, we've got no fault codes at all. So we're going to go out now on a good road test and see how we get on. Right guys, so we're back from the road test. I've taken it on a good couple of runs now and it's performed very well indeed. So we're just going to check the fault memory now. First of all, I'll just show you this. So if we start it up, we've got no lights on the dashboard at all. I'll switch it off for the moment. Come into the fault memory, read the fault codes, and we've got no fault codes to do fuel pressure at all. We have got this watchdog reset, which just that seems to come up now and again, but doesn't seem to affect anything. But yeah, as far as fuel pressure faults goes and limp home mode and the suspension dropping and things like that, that all seems to have been rectified by simply changing the fuel filter. So it's definitely a good place to start, guys. You know, it's going to be the cheapest place as well. It's worth throwing one on and seeing how you get on. Now in this case, I think the guy was quite lucky. There is also other bits and pieces, you know, that can cause this. You've got the low pressure fuel pump, high pressure fuel pump. I've heard of a few failures on the high pressure fuel pump, and that's quite an expensive, time consuming job to do. And of course you've got the fuel rails, and you've also got fuel injectors. All of those things, they take a lot more time to diagnose, and they can cause the same issue. But in this case, we started at the bottom with the cheapest option, and luckily it cured it. So yeah, I hope this video helps some of you guys if you're having similar issues. I know this has probably been covered before by a lot of the Land Rover guys. But yeah, if it has helped, all I ask is that you subscribe, as it doesn't cost anything at all and encourages me to make more videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.